Hi, welcome to Hack Your Brain Through Meditation. My name is Josh Baczynski. I'm a PhD ABD in neuroscience, psychology, and philosophy. I'm a TEDx talker as well. And today's question I'd like to try to answer is, why do you feel so empty inside? Neuroscience, psychology, philosophy all have a very interesting answer as to why you feel so empty inside. In fact, it's a very interesting mystery as to why you feel empty inside. You shouldn't feel alone. Many people have been asking this question. If we check Google really quickly to see how many people are searching, why do I feel empty inside, we see the number is going up over time, both in the United States and worldwide. So as you can see here, the question, why do I feel so empty, has been going up in search over the last 5 years in the United States, peaking for some reason in July of 2018 and later in that fall, and also December of 2019. I wonder if the current problems of tribalism in the United States have anything to do with that. They probably do. And if we check worldwide, in fact, it's even going up worldwide. You see the trend line, it's very subtle, but it's going up worldwide. And in fact, it even peaked around the same time as it did for the United States as well, which is also very interesting as to why that would happen. So it's a bit of a mystery as to why so many people are feeling empty inside. Well, I have two answers for you. I have a surface level answer, and then I have a deeper philosophical answer. And the deeper philosophical answer, in fact, is the more interesting one, because it points to a 2-century-long conspiracy to try to make you feel empty, which is an amazing statement, and I hope you stick around to hear the answer. The surface level answer, quite simply, is the peaks and valleys of desire satisfaction, of capitalism, as St. Augustine used to call it. He didn't call it capitalism. He had no idea what capitalism was back in the Roman Empire. Right around the turn of the millennium, right around maybe 3,600 years after the death of the prophet Jesus, possibly. Our societies, both not only in the United States, but worldwide, it's a worldwide problem. The tribalism, the increasing tribalism on the left and right, is blocking, and all of the noise on social media is not only is it not fulfilling, it creates desire satisfaction loops and Pavlovian reward loops, which is a fancy way of saying it trains your brain and your soul to look for these little bits of information that aren't helping you, or you're not feeling in any way naturally satisfying or enduringly satisfying. It's moving you away from real relationships that you could find naturally satisfying or enduringly satisfying. All the capitalistic systems in the world are trying to get you to eat the worst food, the worst drinks, the worst kind of sugary, high-fat kind of foods and drinks, so that you will get more and more addicted and want to buy it more, but you'll find it less and less satisfying over time, and that's what you'll buy more and more and more. And in fact, either accidentally or actually on purpose in most cases, all of these institutions, the systemized racism that we're seeing flaring now, I'm recording this June 16th, 2020, almost Juneteenth, which for those of you who don't know is a celebration of an anniversary of one of the anniversaries of the ending of slavery, is associated with the ending of slavery in the United States. As if slavery ended, sadly. Formally it has, but a little bit later in today's show, I'm going to show you the secret that actually it hasn't really ended when it comes down to it. When you really look at it from the philosophical view, which really kind of fully opens this up wide and explains the whole reason why you are feeling empty. Yes, you. Big philosophy of hundreds of years is making you right now in this space and time feel empty. And I'm going to show you why. I'm going to tell you why, the secret why, that no one else will tell you. Either because they don't know, because there's not a lot of us philosophers left, or they just don't want to tell you because they want to control the system. They want to control what's going on. So all of those current surface level structures are set up in a way for you not to feel empty. We find people now on Tinder and Bumble. We don't have a lot more human connections anymore. And little by little, hook or by crook, little bits of fulfilledness and little bits of joy are cut off until we're feeling empty inside. We're feeling numb. The philosophical word for this is called nihilism. And so that takes us into the philosophical reason why. So that's enough of a reason why. So how do you fix it? Well, get off of social media. Don't eat bad foods. It's really hard. This lifestyle I'm about to tell you to do so you don't feel empty all the time is really difficult to do, practically speaking. But it is the answer. It's not the answer you might have wanted. Drugs are not going to help. Sadly, drugs are a salve that are making it worse. They're amplifying the peaks of I'm high, I'm great, I'm crashing, I'm low. It increases that kind of desire, Pavlovian reward and punishment kind of cycles. It's not going to help you, and you know this. Everyone knows this, right? I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. that you do too many drugs and you drink too much. It feels great at the very beginning, but you do feel more empty over time, and with a host of all other kinds of problems. So you got to live healthy. You've got to get away from social media. You got to try to generate real, genuine relationships with real people that have shared liked interests, or at least you have some fondness between, and start developing. Humans are social creatures. Genetically, we've always been social creatures. We evolved from social primates. We are still social primates. So you're probably going to feel empty if you're also trying to be alone. If you're isolating yourself, you've got to generate. Social media is not real relationships. And if they are, they're relationships put through an unhealthy filter, right? So I know a lot of people balk at that statement when I say it. They say, oh, social media is a real relationship. Those are really my friends. Okay, fine. Maybe they are. I know you have direct fondness for them, and I know there's a lot of positive emotion there. But the way social media constrains that relationship without ever being able to touch them, see them, smell them, all of those senses matter. Trust me, there's plenty of scientific evidence to show that all those senses matter. When you isolate people and just talk to them through a microphone, bad things happen. That's one means of torture, right? Many terrible experiments with babies and chimps have gone awry in those regards, trust me. And so you need to have real human contact, consensual, obviously consensual, agreed upon contact. Join a group of some kind where you actually have to get off your butt and go physically meet with people. It will, as long as you can get over, if that's anxious for you or there's a problem there, as long as you can get over that, that will solve the problem. And so you might want to be using meditation and medication, both together, and maybe some therapy to help get rid of the anxiety if you have crippling social anxiety or you have crippling PTSD or obsessive compulsive disorder of any type that's getting in the way of you having real, genuine relationships with people where you can see them, smell them, maybe even touch them, and maybe a hug or whatever, or more, depending on what your needs are. Consensual, of course, I'm talking about. That's what you need to do, because that's going to start putting some fulfillment in your life just like that. Like you just, boom, like, of course, Josh, why didn't I think of this? And you know this already. I'm not telling you stuff you don't know. I'm like a martial arts instructor who says, yeah, your punch is going to get better if you do push-ups. You knew that. Everybody knows that. Or I'm like a trainer. I'm like, yeah, it's going to be, what's going to make doing the training better? Doing it. And you do it week after week and you get stronger and then you can do it, right? So everybody knows this. And so sometimes you just need someone to kick you in the butt to tell you what you already know. And that's how you know you should be doing it anyway, right? So those are the practical solutions, the really quick practical solutions. But the deeper philosophers amongst you, or the curious who can become philosophers, might have asked, okay, Josh, but why? Why is, not only in the United States, but why is it organized for the entire world, peaking identically with the United States, interestingly enough, at some points, like that one summer we saw there where it peaked for both, right? Why is that? What is going on with the world, and what is going on with the high level of politics and economics? What is going on with the way the world works and communication across the internet, that we are all feeling so empty inside and so many people are searching Google for it? Let me show you some more statistics, and this will answer it. So there's another free tool in Google. It's called Google AdWords Keyword Planner. And a lot of people in search engine optimization and who pay Google ads, which is the main way Google makes their money, by the way. It's just through ads. All the other products Google has have all failed. The only thing that's ever worked for Google has been their search engine, interestingly enough, where they cripple and control with an iron fist. I'm not joking. With an iron fist, all information questions coming in and all the information going out. It all filters, 95% of it in the Western world filters through Google as a search engine. And they do not want to, they cling on to that information. They can affect buying decisions. They do affect buying decisions. They can affect voting decisions. Google affects all your decisions. Google affects all of your knowledge. And Google affects all of the bi-directional input and output of people asking questions and getting answers. And nobody takes them into account. Nobody cares. You should care. You should care about what Google's doing about this relationship between the knowledge in between and asking and getting the information. It is not safe to have a private company controlling all this. However, that's another rant of mine. That all being said, that's part of the problem of why you're feeling so empty, is because they're not giving you genuine or new or insightful answers to the question. They're giving you the baseline, easiest answer to the question, because that's how their algorithm works, right? Aha, see, part of the problem. But Although you might have found me on Google, that's because I know how to hack Google, so I made myself show up there if you found me on Google. Not because anyone likes philosophy or the philosophical answers. But let's take a look at this free information I have from Google. So I did a query to get all the kind of questions people are asking these days, and I'm going to make videos about all of these. And I got the max search volume that people search in Google monthly. This is monthly. And this is the time I removed it. This is the time the information is from. So it's current. And now look at this number here. What is this number here? This says top of page bid. What does that mean? This is in dollars. This is in US dollars. And this is what people are willing to pay Google, the high end of the money. People are willing to pay Google that every time someone does this search and clicks their website or their ad, they pay Google that much. They're willing to pay up to $10. Look at this. And that's much higher than the rest of these. If I was to put some conditional formatting on this here, just so you can get an idea of how that looks. Look how much more money this is they're willing to pay to collect your click, to collect your traffic, to collect you when you ask Google, why do I feel so empty? 1,000 of you on average ask it in Google a month, and they're willing to pay exorbitant amounts of money, far more on average than the rest here. And it goes down, 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 down. Why is that? Why is that? And that's how you answer the question. Capitalism, the rich, the 1%. That stuff that Bernie Sanders yammers about. In that case, and in that case only, he's correct. This is a secret war that's been going on against you for millennia, or against we, the people, for millennia. And I'm not going to give I could talk about this for a whole class in a whole year. I'm not going to. I'm going to give you the very short and the interesting version of where the secret of this war against you comes from. It's the war of the rich versus the poor. Nietzsche, the last greatest philosopher, in the mid-19th century, developed a whole bunch of concepts. Now, he did not do this for reasons of the rich. This is a side battle. There's two battles that's been raging on. The philosopher is trying to control thought for good reasons or bad. Some were trying to control thought because they thought they were doing the human species a favor, like I think I'm doing right now. And some because they had an ego. And then the rich, who just use these ideas over time to continue to be rich, and sometimes there's crosstalk between the philosophers and the rich. Because in the upper crust of society over history, that's exactly what would happen. Twitter is kind of like a giant cocktail party where everyone can talk to each other. It used to be the cocktail parties were guarded and protected. And anyone who's tried to do any kinds of networking knows this. You've got to get into the right cocktail party to talk to the right people, right? So the old cocktail parties were the rich and philosophers talking to each other. So so this part of the battle is on the battle of ideas. And at the time when Nietzsche was writing, here's the ideas that were popular. Monotheism. Those are the ideas that were popular. Monotheism, really, when it comes down to it. Abolishing slavery, or should we have slavery? Is there property? Is there not property? Are there rights? Such things called rights, et cetera, et cetera. And those were some of the popular ideas during when he was writing. And Nietzsche saw these ideas. He's coming out of the Prussian Empire. He's German. And he's coming just when Nazism was starting to flourish. And he saw these ideas of liberal democratic ideas, our ideals over here in the West, of human rights, of empathy, of being nice to everybody on the left side, or on the right-hand side of braggadocious, patriotic numbnuts firing off their guns and saying they're the best when they had they're the best at stuffing their face with hot dogs. Is the only thing they're the best at. Nietzsche saw this rather unflattering portrait of both sides of our liberal democratic life, both on the left and the right, and he hated it. He thought it was ugly, he thought it was disgusting, he thought it was boorish, and it was nothing and nowhere near as awe-inspiring and artistically inspiring as the great cultures he'd studied of the great Hebrews, like King David, who had reigned for, the Hebrews had been a powerful warrior tribe for thousands of years. The Cometians, also known as the Egyptians, were powerful warrior tribes for thousands of years. Even although he thought God was disgusting and all faith and belief in was from the weak and disgusting, mostly he said even the strong worshipped when the strong worshipped the divinity, they worshipped it in a strong way. And they build these beautiful, huge cathedrals, and they dedicate their entire life to a cathedral that wouldn't even be done in their lifetime, to these great kind of awe-inspiring projects that you don't even get to see the end of. He said that was the kind of strength and nobility that he was trying to recapture. And so he tried to destroy liberal democracy. And this is how he tried to destroy it. And this is getting to the point of why you feel empty. He developed the concepts of culture, which was not very popular until he popularized it, lifestyle, subjectivity, subjective truths, because before that it was all objective truths. Everything was a geometry, the sacred geometry. And if you can figure out the sacred geometry, I'm paraphrasing a bit, but then you could figure out everything. They thought that morality was just like math. It was as objective as 2 + 2 = 4, that this color of person should be a slave to this person, or vice versa, or the other way around, whatever side on the argument you want to be on. But they thought that was, they held those truths as self-evident, right? Nietzsche fractured all that. Nietzsche destroyed all that because they left a hole for it to be destroyed, right? They merely held those truths as self-evident. They didn't bother to find truths that were self-evident. And Nietzsche went and destroyed all of that information so that the very reasons that you would feel nihilism, so you would feel empty. You couldn't believe in those, what he considered to be ugly, debased, weak beliefs. None of that could have inspired your soul anymore because you can't believe in it anymore. You can't believe in it anymore because he made the left and right fracture so they could just keep fighting, and they both look stupid in the fight. Or because he made all truths subjective, and so how can you believe in a truth? How can a truth inspire you when it's just your subjective view at the end of the day, right? That little doubt in the back of your mind of subjectivism is always going to be eroding away like entropy, eroding away at the fabric of the construction of that molecule until that molecule completely unravels. Or you have fanatics who believe it so strongly they're willing to kill the other side, they kill each other out, and all the rest in the middle all feel empty inside. They all feel nihilism. They can't believe anything. And he did all of that to force us to try to choose greater ideals. What are these greater ideals? Well, I've talked about them on my show. My show is called Hack Your Brain Through Meditation. Some of you have watched it, some of you have not. Go back on my channel, bit.ly/Bach Meditation, and I explain all of this. I explain the entire problem in greater detail and how to fix it in greater detail. But the short answer is the good. The short answer is joy. The short answer is meditation. The short answer is true enlightenment in a way that nobody else understands that it's currently talking about meditation. Nobody. They talk about Eastern concepts, but they forget the entire Western tradition of meditation, which has a strong and rich history of meditation that just got subsumed into prayer. So I just take the prayer piece off, and then we're going back to the meditation component. And they don't even do 1 or 2 methods of the Eastern method, not even the full spectrum of like 50 different methods. You put those together, you get true enlightenment. You're seeking the good. You're seeking what's ideal. You're seeking what's idyllic. You're seeking what science seeks, which is the optimal. So it'll take me another hour to argue for that. So I don't want to do that. But go back and look at those things. But here's the second reason why you're empty. So Nietzsche wanted you to be empty, and you are. It's a psyops attack he did back in 1850, or there between 1850 and 1900, that he used to attack you, that the Nazis picked up and the French postmodernists picked up and destroyed all objectivity in any ideals. And if everything's subjective, then nothing matters at the end of the day. And because nothing matters, that's why you feel empty, right? From the philosophical nihilistic perspective, ignoring all the practical, medical, neuroscientific perspectives I gave already, which is not conflicting the philosophical answer in a way. It combines the philosophical answer to fully explain why this is a worldwide phenomenon. But what about those rich I talked about? What's the problem with the rich, Josh? The rich are like cockroaches, powerful cockroaches. Cockroaches with all the power and all the money and all the resources. And they can survive after any kind of nuclear holocaust. And so what they did, they decided, is that they saw, okay, we see how this subjective of truth is going. We're gonna use it, right? We're going to use that. We're going to develop something called propaganda, and they did. Edward Bernays, watch the documentary The Century of the Self. Edward Bernays was the nephew of Sigmund Freud, and he literally Freud took Nietzsche's ideas And Bernays took Freud's ideas of how to psychologically control people and gave it to capitalism, gave it to the corporations so that they could rule completely and utterly. And they do, because they paid better, quite frankly. That's why Bernays did it, because he was just as greedy, money-grubbing capitalist, just as the rest of the greedy, money-grubbing capitalists. And you notice how no one talks about the rich anymore, except for Bernie Sanders. He's the only one. He seems kind of weird and quaint, because that's exactly what the rich want him to look like. The rich don't want us. They want the left pointing fingers at the right and the right pointing fingers at the left. It's not Russia and China doing propaganda against us. It's not Russia and China propping up the right and the left conflicts in the United States and the world. It's the rich. It's the rich propping up. It's not 99.9% of Russia doesn't know anything about us or care. 99.9% of China doesn't know anything about us or care. They're rich. It's just the rich people around the world who are inflaming the left and right to fight, because the more inflamed we are, the more emotional we are, the more emotional we are, the more we buy. That's why they're bidding $10 on the query and profiting off your misery and your suffering. I repeat, that's why they're paying so much money, and they are so interested, because they want to profit off your misery and your sorrow and your feeling empty. And all the while you think it's the left or the right who's the problem, depending on what side of the aisle you sit on, or you think it's nobody wants to point the finger at the rich and realize they feed us all this crappy food, they feed us all this shitty water. They interrupt in politics, they profit off our misery, they profit off our joy as well. We are all wage slaves. I said slavery didn't end, it didn't. We're all wage slaves. If you know how to control economics properly, you can say, okay, fine, you're not a slave anymore, you're free. Go ahead, do whatever you want, but you better have the money to do it. And if you don't let them have any money, well, then they're still slaves then, aren't they, at that particular point? That's systemic racism. That's what they're saying white supremacy is. They really should say it's the supremacy of the rich. It happens to coincidentally be white as well, because historically, and racism is a problem, don't get me wrong. Racism is a huge problem that plays a role, but the rich are like, yeah, sure, racism, you're right. Yeah, Black Lives Matter, sure. The rich is saying. No, but no one's pointing a finger and saying, I have heard Ice-T say once, the rapper Ice-T said once, yeah, racism is a huge problem, but it's also actually mostly capitalism as a problem, or the rich versus the poor is the problem. And if all the aggrieved people of color were given equal amounts of money and equal opportunity to make it, on the monopoly board, right, it would start the game over again. You'd see all these problems, or a lot of them, wash away. And then the little racism problems of cops going berserk because the police have been militarized so that the military-industrial complex could sell them more. Again, it's the rich. It's always the rich. It always comes down to capitalism. At the base of all these problems, why you feel empty is because some rich asshole wants you to feel empty so you will buy more. And that little piece of proof that I showed you, if this philosophy isn't making sense to you, and this should make perfect sense to you. You should be like, duh, of course, we all know about the rich. And we all know that they put lead in the stuff, and there's cancerous stuff and everything, right? And they all try to deny climate change as long as they can until they just can't anymore. And then they move to the next money-making scheme, and they have a problem. They have an addiction problem. They will sell bricks from the house that will cause the house to fall down with them in it. And they just think, well, some of the rich will get hurt, but the really rich will just fly they've got their zip lines to private islands to get out of here really quick, right? So that's the reason, brothers and sisters, why you feel empty. That is the full cohesive explanation. And I apologize if reality conspires to make the solution difficult. And I apologize if reality conspires and the rich have conspired to make it even more complicated, to make it harder for you to understand and notice who your real targets should be. But that is the truth, an objective one, Nietzsche notwithstanding. And I hope that it helps you. So come back and see me next time on the show for another rant. And I'll go down my list here. You just saw in Excel, and I'll take the next biggest problem that people are talking about, and I'll answer it for you from the perspective of modern science and ancient philosophy. And I hope you've enjoyed it. If you want to talk to me, I'd love to chat. Email me at joshbachynski@gmail.com and watch the rest of my videos at bit.ly/Bach Meditation. BACH meditation, all one word, lowercase. bit.ly, bat.ly/Bach Meditation. We'll see you next time.